She was the queen of the salon. Confident. Loved by everyone who sat in her chair. He was the man who made her laugh, made her feel seen, and then made her feel invisible. When Vanessa Coleman walked into Royal Cuts that Tuesday morning, she didn't bring scissors. She brought a gun. And in less than 12 seconds, her ex-boyfriend lay bleeding on the floor while the entire city watched her unravel. But this isn't just a story about jealousy. It's about silence. It's about the parts of us that break quietly, long before anything explodes. Dallas, Texas, 2021. On the outside, Royal Cuts was just another thriving salon in South Dallas. Clippers buzzing in rhythm, the scent of coconut oil mingling with the faint aroma of fresh perm. R&B music drifted low in the background. To its loyal clients, this place was more than a salon. It was a hub, a vibe, a family. And right in the center of it all was Vanessa Coleman. She was 36. Divorced. No children. 12 years deep into her craft, known for her flawless braids, her bold signature deep red lip, and a stare sharp enough to cut deeper than her shears. Clients called her Nessa the Queen, and she wore that crown effortlessly. She wasn't the kind of woman you messed with. Her independence was legendary, her work ethic unmatched. She'd built herself up from nothing, clawing her way out of heartbreak, poverty, and betrayal. Then came Tyrone Fields. He was 39, fresh out of Atlanta, a barber with gold trimmers, a neck tattoo, and a charm smoother than the razor lineups he delivered. Tyrone had a past that made him interesting. Nothing too heavy, just a minor record, a few hustler years, but he claimed he'd left all that behind. Now, he was the new guy in the shop. The one with the crooked smile that made you forget he wasn't exactly safe. They met over a haircut. Vanessa had just finished with a client when she passed his chair and teased, "You blend that taper like you blend lies. Or better." Tyrone looked up, flashed that grin. "Guess you'll have to stick around and find out, Queen." And just like that, the spark caught fire. What started as playful banter turned into long shifts together, lunch breaks that slid into wine nights. He fixed a broken mirror in her station one day and somehow stayed for dinner. The chemistry was fast. Electric. They moved like two people who'd known each other in another life. Within weeks, they were inseparable, partners in love and in the salon. They became a brand. Their TikTok page, Royal Love Cuts, blew up overnight. Videos of them dancing in the salon went viral, her braiding tight precision cornrows while he spun the chair, winking at the camera. They shared transformations, playful skits about barbershop life, and sweet captions about building an empire together. Clients ate it up. Strangers walked in just to catch a glimpse of that couple from TikTok. For a while they were goals. #BlackLove. #Salon Sweethearts. #Power Couple. It all looked so real. So effortless. So perfect. But behind the filters and fades, the reality was messy. Vanessa, for all her strength, carried a past stitched together with silence and scars. She knew what it felt like to be left. Her father walked out when she was 11. Her first love cheated on her with her cousin. Her marriage in her 20s ended in betrayal. Each heartbreak left her a little more guarded, a little more afraid of being unseen. But Tyrone, he felt different. For the first time, someone saw her. Not just the stylist. Not just the woman behind the braids and the bold lipstick. He saw the girl who once cried alone in her room when her father didn't come home. The teenager who chopped off her own hair in a kitchen mirror after being humiliated. The woman who vowed never to depend on anyone again. For Vanessa, Tyrone wasn't just another man. He was hope. Proof that maybe, just maybe, love didn't always have to hurt. But Tyrone had his own shadows. He was magnetic, charismatic, yes. But he was also a man who needed attention the way lungs need air. Women noticed him. Younger clients giggled too long at his jokes. And for someone like Tyrone, that admiration was addictive. He liked the spotlight. He needed it. Still, for a time it worked. They'd close the shop late and slow dance to Jill Scott in the empty salon, their laughter echoing off the mirrors. They talked about opening a second location. Tyrone promised her, "Ain't no other woman for me. You're it, we makin' legacy." But sometimes, The deepest wounds are the quietest. Sometimes the person who holds your hand the tightest is the one who will leave the deepest cut. And in that salon, surrounded by mirrors, neither of them could see what was coming. Because the thing about love built in the spotlight, it doesn't take much for the lights to start burning. By spring 2022, Vanessa and Tyrone were still posting videos. Still smiling for Instagram. Still holding hands outside royal cuts like nothing had changed. But those closest to them, coworkers, clients, even the UPS guy, knew better. The tension was there. Quiet. Thick. Like the air right before a storm. Little arguments started creeping in. Who double-booked the 3 p.m. slot? Why didn't you repost my story? Why did you ignore my cousin at the cookout? Tiny cracks that didn't seem dangerous at first. But in a place full of mirrors, small cracks always spread. And for Vanessa, every little slight felt louder. Sharper. Because when you've spent your whole life being abandoned, even the smallest flicker of betrayal can feel like the end of the world. It started like all beautiful things do, softly. Tyrone was the type of man who made the mundane feel electric. He'd bring Vanessa her favorite iced coffee without asking. Leave sticky notes on her mirror with lines like, "Queens don't chase crowns, they wear them." When she laughed, really laughed, he'd stop everything he was doing just to watch her. For a while it was perfect. They worked side by side in the salon, their hands moving in harmony. He faded lineups while she created flawless braids. Clients said they moved like two artists sharing one canvas. Lunch breaks turned into long walks in the humid Dallas afternoons. Nights ended with wine and Netflix on her couch, his head in her lap while she absent-mindedly ran her fingers through his beard. Vanessa had been through enough to know when something was real. And with Tyrone, it felt real. She'd been burned before, by men who lied, cheated, vanished. She'd sworn off love for 5 years after her divorce, throwing herself into work instead. She built her name, built her brand, built walls around her heart. But Tyrone climbed those walls. Effortlessly. When he smiled, it was like the sun broke through. When he touched her hand, the years of heartbreak didn't feel so heavy anymore. Vanessa started to believe maybe, just maybe, she could trust again. And Tyrone knew exactly how to feed that belief. He said all the right things. "You're not like the others. I'm done with the streets. I'm building with you, Queen." He showed up when he said he would. He posted her on his social media, called her his girl in front of everyone. Even her mother liked him, something that had never happened before. Soon, they weren't just Vanessa and Tyrone. They were royal love cuts. Their TikTok account blew up with viral videos of them dancing in the salon, finishing each other's sentences during Q&A lives, and showing off before and after transformations. People online called them relationship goals. Clients booked appointments just to see them laugh together. For the first time in a long time, Vanessa felt chosen. But the thing about love in the spotlight? It casts shadows you don't see until it's too late. It started small. Vanessa noticed Tyrone liked attention, not just hers, but everyone's. He was charismatic, magnetic. Younger clients leaned in too close when they showed him photos of the style they wanted. They giggled at his jokes, lingered at the counter after their appointment was over. Tyrone never pushed them away. He flirted harmlessly, or so he said. Vanessa tried to brush it off. She wasn't insecure. She wasn't the jealous type. Until the text. One afternoon, Tyrone left his phone on her station while he went to the back. A notification popped up. Just one line, from a girl named Keisha. "Wish you could cut more than just my hair." Vanessa froze. She didn't confront him right away. Instead, she took a picture of the message. Saved it. Let it simmer. And then she started watching him differently, not as a partner, but as a stranger. She noticed how his eyes lingered a second too long when certain clients walked in. How his laugh changed depending on who was around. How he always seemed to have an excuse for being late. Traffic, double bookings, a last-minute walk-in. The air in the salon began to shift. Clients could feel it. Like walking into a room where someone had just screamed. Coworkers whispered behind capes and dryers. "Y'all feel that tension? Something not right with them too." But in public, Vanessa and Tyrone kept the show going. They still smiled for the gram. Still danced on TikTok, just less. Posted more throwbacks than real-time clips. And then came the night that broke the illusion. April 12, 2022. They were invited to a local hairstylist awards event. Vanessa wore a gold dress that shimmered under the lights. Tyrone showed up in crisp black. Together, they looked like royalty. But sometime between cocktails and dinner, he disappeared. She found him 45 minutes later outside the venue, laughing and smoking with a young woman in a red dress. The girl's hand rested casually on his shoulder. They were close. Too close. Vanessa didn't yell. She didn't cry. She just walked away. Her heels clicked like gunshots in the parking lot. Tyrone didn't chase her. After that night, Vanessa changed. She became colder. Sharper. Like scissors left in the freezer. She stopped doing TikToks. Stopped going live. Clients noticed she barely spoke during appointments. Some thought she was sick. Others knew better. Then came the real hit. Tyrone moved out. No explanation. No goodbye post. He just packed his things and went back to a solo chair at the salon and his own apartment. When asked, he said, "It just ran its course. We still cool though." But they weren't cool. Not even close. Especially not when, just a few weeks later, Tyrone started cutting hair for a new regular, Sierra James. She was 24. Bubbly. A beauty school student with a social media following of her own. She wore bold lashes, posted selfies in the salon mirror, and always tagged Tyrone with captions like, "Only he gets me right." It didn't take long for the rumors to swirl. And when Tyrone and Sierra were spotted holding hands at a brunch spot in Oak Cliff, Vanessa exploded. At work, Vanessa refused to acknowledge Sierra. If Sierra walked in, Vanessa walked out. If Sierra booked with Tyrone, Vanessa took an early lunch. But it wasn't just jealousy. It was humiliation. Vanessa had given that man everything: time, love, loyalty, even part of her brand. And now, he was parading around with a younger version of what he used to have, in the same space where they built a life together. She started spiraling. One coworker later testified she was different. Cold. Like she was planning something. Vanessa began posting cryptic Facebook statuses. "It's always the fake smiles that hurt the most. Play me like a fool. I'll show you how karma really works. Some people don't get second chances. Some don't deserve the first." Her friends reached out. Her cousin tried calling. No answer. One post stood out more than the others. Just 3 words. "He chose wrong." That post would later become evidence in court. After the awards night, Vanessa stopped trying to make sense of Tyrone. She had always been the strong one. The one who stayed calm when life got messy. But this was different. Tyrone hadn't just broken her heart, he'd dismantled her pride. Piece by piece. And the humiliation was public. It wasn't just the younger woman. It was the fact that everyone in their world, clients, coworkers, mutual friends, could see it. They'd watched Vanessa build Tyrone up, feature him on her platforms, put him in the spotlight, only for him to use that same spotlight to showcase someone else. Vanessa wasn't just heartbroken. She was embarrassed. And in her world, embarrassment felt like death. She started isolating. She stopped taking calls from friends. She left texts unanswered. She'd show up to the salon, do her appointments in silence, and leave without a word. Her once vibrant laugh was gone. Her coworkers whispered behind the dryers. "She ain't been the same since he left." Yeah, but you can't blame her. That man did her dirty. But Tyrone? He moved on like nothing happened. Within weeks, Sierra became a fixture at Royal Cuts. She'd pop in during lunch breaks, bringing Tyrone takeout. Sit in his chair while he shaped her edges. Laugh with him like they were in their own little world. And the clients noticed. They whispered too. "Ain't that his ex still working here? And now he got his new girl coming up here?" It was messy. Everyone knew it. Everyone felt it. But no one said a thing to Vanessa. Because when Vanessa went quiet, it was the kind of quiet that felt dangerous. The first real crack came one Thursday afternoon. Vanessa was mid-appointment, washing a client's hair, when Sierra walked in. She wore tight jeans, big hoop earrings, and a cropped hoodie that showed just enough. Tyrone greeted her like he'd been waiting all day for her. Hugged her. Kissed her cheek. Right there. In the same salon where Vanessa and Tyrone used to sneak glances, whisper promises, build a love story. The same chair where he once told her, "You better not ever leave me." The client under the sink later told detectives she could feel Vanessa's hands tense. The water turned hotter for a second. But Vanessa didn't say a word. She just finished the wash, dried her client's hair like nothing happened. But inside? Inside, she was burning. That night, Vanessa scrolled through Sierra's Instagram for hours. The captions were brutal, almost taunting. "When he matches your energy, fire my favorite barber, but also my peace. They mad, but we glowing." She read every comment, clicked every tagged photo, zoomed in on every smile. By 3 a.m., the jealousy wasn't jealousy anymore. It was rot. A deep, ugly rot that spread into her chest, into her bones. The next week, Tyrone and Sierra posted a TikTok from a hotel in Houston. It was his birthday. He smiled wide in every frame. Sierra kissed him on the cheek, whispering, "I love you," into the camera. Vanessa watched the entire video 6 times. That Sunday, she didn't go to church. She drove past the salon 3 times instead, slowing each time, staring at the empty parking lot. On the 4th pass, she parked behind the building and sat in silence for 2 hours, staring at the back entrance where she and Tyrone used to sneak kisses between appointments. She never got out. She just sat there, breathing in the quiet rage. By mid-May, the rumors weren't rumors anymore. Tyrone and Sierra were officially a couple. She brought him to family cookouts. He posted her on his Instagram with the same kind of captions he once used for Vanessa. "My writer. My peace. My queen." And that, more than the cheating, more than the public humiliation, is what shattered Vanessa. He didn't just leave. He replaced her. In the exact same way. He took the love story she helped him write and handed someone else her role. That betrayal wasn't just emotional. It was surgical. Precise. A clean cut that left Vanessa bleeding silently. Then came the Facebook post. Cryptic at first. It's always the fake smiles that hurt the most. Then sharper. "Play me like a fool. I'll show you how karma really works." Then the one that would later echo in the courtroom. "He chose wrong." Around this time, Vanessa started making small, subtle changes. She parked further away from the salon, walking in late, avoiding eye contact with anyone. She began wearing all black. No makeup. No earrings. Her coworkers said she looked like a ghost of herself. But what no one saw, what no one even thought to look for, was what she was doing at night. Her neighbor, a retired veteran, later testified that Vanessa had asked him for help at the gun range. Said she needed to learn for self-defense. Her browser history would later reveal chilling searches. How to emotionally destroy someone who hurt you. Texas gun laws for women. What happens if you shoot someone in self-defense? Where to buy a handgun in Dallas without a license. On May 25th, she bought a second-hand Ruger .380 from an ex-client's cousin for $280 cash. No paperwork. No questions. She told him she needed it because things were getting crazy in the neighborhood. But the truth? The truth was much darker. In the days leading up to the shooting, Vanessa was calm. Too calm. She brought donuts to the salon. Smiled at the front desk girl. Even cracked a joke about the Dallas heat. No one noticed that her bag seemed heavier than usual. No one noticed she never took off her coat despite the air conditioning being fine. No one noticed she was rehearsing in her mind what she was about to do. May 2nd. A Tuesday. Sunny. Quiet. Just another day at Royal Cuts. By noon, the shop was full. Barbers trimming fades. Stylists laying edges. Clippers buzzing like usual. The front bell rang every 5 minutes as clients came and went. Nothing seemed off. Nothing at all. Except Vanessa. She came in at 11:38 a.m. Right between appointments. Wearing all black high-waisted jeans, a fitted turtleneck, and a lightweight trench coat despite the 80-degree weather. Her curls were pinned up neatly. Lips bare. Eyes hidden behind dark sunglasses. And slung over her shoulder was a tan leather purse big enough to carry a blow-dryer. Or a gun. She greeted no one. Not the receptionist. Not Marcus, the barber cracking jokes. Not Kesha, her coworker of 6 years. She walked in like a ghost passing through a place that used to mean something. A place she once called home. The thing about heartbreak is it doesn't always scream. Sometimes it just waits. Vanessa had been waiting. Waiting for Tyrone to apologize. Waiting for Sierra to leave. Waiting for the shame to fade into something softer. But none of it happened. Instead, Tyrone leaned deeper into his new life. He posted pictures of brunch with Sierra, her laughing, him holding her waist. He tagged the same salon where he and Vanessa had once built their brand together. The comments were relentless. Y'all cute AF. Finally, he found the one. She better than the last one. Each word was a paper cut Vanessa couldn't bandage. And Sierra? She didn't gloat outright, but her captions cut sharper than any blade. When he chooses peace, not drama sparkles. New season, new blessings Blackheart. They might as well have tagged Vanessa directly. April bled into May. By now, Sierra had become a regular fixture at Royal Cuts. She'd sit in Tyrone's chair, giggling while he shaped her edges. She brought him lunch, flirted in front of everyone. It wasn't just jealousy anymore. It was erasure. Vanessa watched the life she built get rewritten in real time. The same TikTok skits she created? Tyrone was now filming them with Sierra. The same words he whispered late at night? He was now posting as captions under Sierra's photos. Vanessa wasn't just replaced. She was recycled. And something about that felt worse than betrayal. It felt like being deleted. The day before the shooting, it rained in Dallas. Heavy. Unrelenting. Vanessa sat by her apartment window, staring out at the downpour, her phone buzzing on the counter with unread messages from her mother, her cousin, Kesha from the salon. She didn't answer. She was too busy scrolling through Sierra's new Instagram reel. It was Tyrone's birthday. Sierra had made a montage. Clips of them laughing in the salon. Clips of them eating cake at a hotel room in Houston. A shot of Tyrone kissing her hand at a candlelit dinner. The music in the reel was Jill Scott's The Way. The same song Tyrone once danced to with Vanessa late at night in the empty salon. And the caption? Happy birthday to the man who makes me feel seen every day. Love you, the red heart. Vanessa stared at the screen for a long time. Her hands didn't shake. Her breathing didn't change. She just went quiet. Later that evening, she pulled a small box out from under her bed. Inside was the Ruger .380 she'd bought a week earlier. She held it for the first time. Felt the cold steel against her palm. It was lighter than she expected. She wrapped it in a folded salon towel, the same kind she used to wrap her shears, and placed it carefully into her tan leather purse. Then she sat on the edge of her bed, recording a voice memo on her phone. Her voice was calm, almost detached. I loved him harder than I loved myself. I built him up, made him shine. And now he acts like I never existed. That girl, she doesn't know what he really is. Maybe if I disappear, he'll remember. Or maybe if he disappears, I can forget. She never sent that recording to anyone. She just saved it. Like evidence. Or fuel. The morning of May 2nd, Vanessa woke up early. She made coffee, put on black high-waisted jeans, a fitted black turtleneck, and a lightweight trench coat. She pinned her curls neatly. Skipped the lipstick. slipped on dark sunglasses. She didn't look like herself. She looked like someone going somewhere final. 11:47 a.m. The salon was busy. Kids in capes wiggling in chairs. Clippers buzzing in sync. R&B playing low in the background. Clients talking about the Mavericks game the night before. Tyrone was mid-appointment, lining up a regular. Sierra sat nearby on her phone, waiting for her turn. No one saw Vanessa pull into the backlot. No one noticed her walking up the steps. No one saw her hand tighten around the strap of her tan leather purse. When she opened the door, the bell above the entrance jingled softly. She didn't greet anyone. Didn't glance at Marcus cracking jokes near the front. Didn't acknowledge Kesha, who gave her a small smile. She just walked in like a ghost passing through. Her heels clicked slowly on the tile floor. She walked past the row of chairs, past the dryers, past the reception desk, straight toward Tyrone. From her purse, she pulled out the folded towel. But inside wasn't scissors. It was steel. Cold, heavy, loaded. She gripped it tight, still hidden in the towel. 10 steps. That's all it took from her chair to his. 10 steps to end everything. Maybe Marcus caught a glimpse of the gun in her hand. Maybe Kesha sensed something strange in the way Vanessa's eyes looked hollow. But before anyone could speak, bang. The first shot hit Tyrone in the lower back. He jerked forward, hand still holding the clippers as Sierra screamed. Bang. The second shot tore through his shoulder. He collapsed against the mirror. Bang. The third missed slightly, shattering the mirror above the station and raining glass across the floor. Chaos. Screams. Clients ducked. Kids cried. Someone yelled, "She's got a gun." Sierra threw herself over Tyrone's body, trying to stop the bleeding with the salon cape. Blood soaked through her lavender dress in seconds. Vanessa stood frozen. Still holding the gun. Still breathing hard. But her face blank. Emotionless. Gone. Marcus tackled her from the side, knocking the weapon from her hand. It slid across the floor, clattering near the reception desk. Kesha grabbed it and kicked it behind the counter. Vanessa didn't resist. She didn't run. She just whispered something no one heard clearly. Something like, "He was mine." When the cops arrived minutes later, Tyrone was barely conscious, bleeding out onto the salon floor. Sierra refused to leave his side. Her dress was soaked in blood, her hands trembling, but she stayed, holding his head in her lap. Vanessa sat handcuffed on the sidewalk in front of the salon, next to the faded sandwich board that read, "Walk-ins welcome." She looked calm. Too calm. When Officer Ramirez asked her what happened, she looked him straight in the eye and said, "He broke me." It took less than 12 seconds for Vanessa to pull the trigger. 12 seconds to erase 4 years. But the aftermath lasted much longer. The salon fell into chaos. Clients screamed, ducking under chairs. A child cried so loud it pierced through the blaring music still playing on the speakers. Someone shouted, "Call 911." Sierra knelt over Tyrone, her lavender dress soaked in blood, hands pressing desperately against his wounds. "Stay with me, baby. Stay with me. Please." Blood pooled fast on the white tile floor, seeping toward the wall, staining the baseboards. Marcus, the barber who had tackled Vanessa, grabbed a towel from the counter and threw it to Sierra. He yelled for someone to grab more. But Vanessa, she stood still. Frozen. The gun still wrapped in the salon towel. Her hands trembling, but her face? Blank. Emotionless. Gone. The sirens arrived within minutes. Dallas PD MS. Yellow tape. Paramedics rushed into the salon, pushing past the stunned onlookers gathered outside. They slid Tyrone onto a stretcher, still conscious but fading. Sierra refused to leave his side. She climbed into the ambulance barefoot, her hands and arms red, her breath shaky. As the doors slammed shut, She looked back at Vanessa one last time. And for a second, just 1 second, she saw it. Not rage. Not even regret. But something hollow. Like Vanessa had already disappeared before she even pulled the trigger. Outside the salon, Officer Ramirez read Vanessa her rights. She didn't resist. Didn't argue. Didn't ask for a lawyer. She just let them cuff her, sat on the sidewalk like she was waiting for a bus. When he asked her why she did it, she looked him dead in the eye and said, "He broke me." No explanation. No excuses. Just those 3 words. By 12:06 p.m., Tyrone was en route to the hospital. CPR was in progress. No one knew if he'd make it. Inside the salon, the aftermath was frozen in time. Clippers unplugged. Mirrors cracked. Blood smeared on the floor. Fingerprints on the glass. Half-finished haircuts abandoned. The smell of coconut oil and fresh perm still hung in the air, now mixed with iron. The first video hit social media before the police even cleared the block. A shaky cell phone clip posted to Twitter. Tyrone lying on the floor, Sierra screaming over him. Vanessa being walked out in handcuffs. The police lights flashing red and blue over the faded Royal Cut sign. The caption read, "Love triangle gone wrong at South Dallas Salon. Woman shoots ex in broad daylight." Within an hour, the video went viral. By 3 p.m., local news stations picked it up. Dallas stylist arrested for salon shooting. Reporters swarmed the block. Microphones shoved into neighbors' faces. Did you know her? Was there any warning? Did you ever see trouble between them? Some said Vanessa was sweet, hardworking, well-loved. Others whispered she had a temper. Everyone agreed on one thing. Tyrone and Sierra's relationship had caused tension. But nobody thought it would end like this. By 3 At Baylor University Medical Center, surgeons fought to stop Tyrone's internal bleeding. The bullets had hit his lower back, shoulder, and grazed the left side of his ribcage. He was still alive, but barely. Sierra sat in the hallway outside the operating room, her hands still stained red. She refused clean scrubs. Refused water. Refused to leave. When Tyrone's mother arrived, frantic, she screamed in the lobby, "That girl tried to kill my baby, and nobody saw it coming." But the truth was, some did see it coming. The Back at the station, Vanessa sat in a gray cinder block interrogation room, wrists cuffed in front of her. Still wearing the black turtleneck, now damp with sweat. Her eyes were red but dry. She hadn't asked about Tyrone. Hadn't asked for a lawyer. When Detective Lauren Mitchell entered, Vanessa lifted her chin. "You already know why I did it?" she said. Mitchell replied calmly, "I need to hear you say it." Vanessa leaned back in the metal chair. Her voice didn't shake. "He humiliated me. Replaced me. Acted like I was disposable. Like all the love we had meant nothing." She didn't deny anything. She didn't ask for mercy. She just kept repeating one thing. He was supposed to be mine. Detectives slid a photo across the table. A still from the salon surveillance video showing Vanessa standing over Tyrone with the gun in her hand. She didn't flinch. Didn't look away. She stared at the image for a long time, then whispered, "I wanted him to feel what I felt. I wanted him to bleed the way he made me bleed." Meanwhile, in the hospital, Sierra waited. Hours passed. Nurses came and went. Machines beeped. Finally, a surgeon stepped out. "He's stable, for now." Sierra broke down in the hallway. She'd saved his life that day by pressing her hands into his wounds, but she knew the scars, physical and emotional, would never truly heal. By 6 p.m., the city knew her name. Vanessa Coleman, 36, charged with attempted murder. News anchors replayed the shaky cell phone clip on loop. Commentators debated live on air. Is this a case of a woman driven mad by betrayal or calculated revenge? The internet exploded with theories. Old TikToks of Vanessa and Tyrone resurfaced. Clips of them laughing, dancing, talking about building an empire together. The same people who once cheered for their love story now flooded the comments with hate. She snapped because he upgraded. She was always controlling. You can tell. I feel bad for her. That's what heartbreak looks like. Police searched Vanessa's apartment that night. They found a notebook under her bed. Pages covered in angry letters. Unsent texts. Dark poetry scribbled over and over again. She stole him. Why did I lose everything? He lied to me and smiled while doing it. One chilling passage was dated 2 weeks before the shooting. When a woman is pushed into the shadows, she learns to walk in the dark. And in the dark, anything can happen. By morning, the headlines had shifted from local to national. Dallas love triangle turns deadly, stylist shoots ex at hair salon. Shot over heartbreak, did Vanessa Coleman snap or plot? The debate raged online. Was she a victim of emotional manipulation and public humiliation? Or just a jealous woman who couldn't let go? By But inside her holding cell, Vanessa didn't watch the news. She didn't care about the hashtags. She didn't care about the debates. She just sat on the cold concrete floor, staring at the blank wall. When the jail nurse asked if she felt remorse, Vanessa paused. Then said softly, "I regret giving that much power to another human being. I don't regret hurting him. I regret losing myself to the point where that felt like the only option." 7 months later, the courthouse was packed. State of Texas versus Vanessa Coleman. She faced 3 felony counts: attempted murder, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and unlawful discharge of a firearm in a place of business. If convicted, she faced up to 45 years in prison. The courtroom was a theater that day. Local reporters lined the front row, notebooks ready. Salon clients filled the gallery, whispering quietly. Family members sat stiffly, caught between grief and curiosity. And then there was Tyrone. He wheeled himself in slowly, wearing a back brace under his crisp shirt. His right hand trembled slightly, nerve damage from the bullet that grazed his rib cage. He avoided Vanessa's eyes. Sierra sat beside him in the second row, her hands clasped, expression unreadable. When Vanessa entered, the room fell silent. She wore a gray suit. No makeup. Hair pulled back tight. She looked thinner, smaller, haunted. Gone was the vibrant woman who once ruled the salon like a queen. What stood before them now was someone hollowed out. The prosecution went first. Assistant District Attorney Carla Jameson wasted no time. She laid out the timeline, played the salon surveillance footage in full. The jury gasped audibly when they saw it. Vanessa walking in the shots. Tyrone collapsing, blood raining onto the tile. Sierra screaming, pressing her hands on his wounds. Marcus tackling Vanessa as the gun slid across the floor. Some in the gallery turned away. Others cried quietly. Sierra covered her mouth with a trembling hand. Then This wasn't a crime of passion, Carla Jameson said firmly. This was calculated, planned, premeditated. Miss Coleman bought a gun, brought it into her former workplace, and fired 3 shots in front of employees, clients, and even a child getting a haircut. Because she couldn't let go. Then came the witnesses. Marcus, the barber who tackled Vanessa, described the moment he realized what she was holding. I thought it was just a blow dryer or something in that towel. But when I saw that flash, I knew she meant to kill him. Kesha, Vanessa's co-worker and friend of nearly a decade, broke down on the stand. We all saw she wasn't okay after the breakup, but nobody thought she'd do this. I should have said something. Maybe we all should have. And then came Tyrone. Then he wheeled himself to the front of the courtroom, cleared his throat, looked directly at Vanessa. His voice shook at first, but then steadied. I never meant to hurt her. I loved her once. But I had the right to move on. And she didn't have the right to take that choice from me. He paused, his eyes glistening. When I hit the floor, I thought I was dying. And all I could think was, is this really how she says goodbye? The room went silent. Then it was the defense's turn. Vanessa's attorney, Gloria Bennett, painted a different picture. She called Vanessa a woman emotionally shattered by betrayal, gaslit, and humiliated in public by the man she trusted most. She wasn't just dealing with heartbreak. She was dealing with psychological violence. A slow unraveling that no one noticed until it was too late. Then they introduced Vanessa's private journal, found under her bed. Pages filled with desperate pleas. I gave him everything. He erased me like I was nothing. I see her in my dreams, laughing at me. No one hears a woman when she's quiet, so maybe they'll hear the sound of something breaking. A clinical psychologist testified that Vanessa exhibited signs of situational dissociation and severe emotional dysregulation. She'd never been diagnosed or treated, but her journals, texts, and interviews pointed to a mental breakdown triggered by chronic emotional distress. The defense didn't argue innocence. They argued diminished responsibility. Then came the moment everyone was waiting for. Vanessa took the stand. She walked slowly, hands folded in front of her, her voice barely above a whisper. She didn't deny the shooting, didn't ask for pity. I wasn't myself, she said softly. I don't even recognize that version of me anymore. The prosecutor pressed her. So you're saying you didn't mean to kill him? Vanessa looked down at her hands. Then looked back up. No. I did. In that moment, I wanted him to hurt like I did. I'm not proud of it. But it's the truth. She glanced at Tyrone. Then at Sierra. I didn't hate her. I hated who I became watching her take what I thought was mine. Silence filled the courtroom. Then her final words. I loved him so loud. But he left me so quietly. I broke, and nobody noticed. The jury deliberated for just under 4 hours. When they returned, the verdict was clear. Guilty on all counts. When the judge read the sentence, 38 years in prison with no possibility of parole for the first 25, Vanessa didn't cry. She just nodded once. Like she had already made peace with the cost of her actions. As deputies led her out, Sierra finally looked at her. For a brief second, their eyes met. Not with hate. Not even with forgiveness. Just a shared grief. Two women. Both broken by the same man. Both forever changed. Tyrone didn't speak to reporters outside the courthouse. Sierra gave a brief statement. I don't hate Vanessa. I just wish she knew her worth didn't depend on a man. Now 3 lives are destroyed. All for a love that wasn't even real anymore. By nightfall, the headlines blazed across every major news outlet. Vanessa Coleman sentenced to 38 years for Salon shooting. Heartbreak, obsession, and the price of silence. Social media exploded again. Some called her a monster. Others called her a cautionary tale. A few called her a victim of her own silence. But the truth? The truth was more complicated. Because justice doesn't always bring closure. And love doesn't always survive the weight of its own promises. The sentence was read. The courtroom emptied. Reporters packed up their cameras. The world moved on. But the people at the center of it didn't. Vanessa Coleman was transferred to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice 4 days after her sentencing. Her hair was shaved down upon intake. She was issued a standard orange jumpsuit and assigned to Lane Murray Unit in Gatesville, a maximum security facility nearly 3 hours from Dallas. Her first night in prison, she didn't sleep. She stared at the ceiling and listened to the silence. No clippers buzzing. No music. No mirrors. Just concrete. And regret. In her first intake interview, when asked if she felt remorse, Vanessa paused. Then said softly, I regret giving that much power to another human being. I don't regret hurting him. I regret losing myself to the point where that felt like the only option. The prison therapist marked her as emotionally stable, but emotionally shut down. Inside Lane Murray, Vanessa kept mostly to herself. She avoided trouble, declined calls from the media, worked quietly in the prison laundry unit. But what shocked staff more than anything was what she did with her free time. She started writing. Not poetry. Not a memoir. Letters. Letters to Tyrone. Every week, like clockwork, she wrote to him. Sometimes long, sometimes just a single line. She never mailed them. She folded each one neatly and kept them in a small state-issued box under her bunk. One read, "You loved me like sunshine. Then you left me in the dark and told me to grow." Another, "I thought you were the storm, but maybe I was." Meanwhile, on the outside, Tyrone and Sierra tried to rebuild a life. They moved away from Dallas to Atlanta, where his cousin helped them open a small private barbershop. Just 2 chairs, no TikToks, no walk-ins. Quiet. Healing. But healing didn't come easy. Tyrone still struggled with nerve pain in his right arm. Some days his grip would give out mid-cut. Other days he couldn't even button his shirt. The trauma wasn't just physical. It lingered in his mind, in the sudden flinch when a door slammed, in the way he stared too long at strangers who even slightly resembled Vanessa. Sierra stayed by his side. But she carried her own scars. She couldn't look in a mirror without remembering the blood that hit her hands that day. Couldn't hear the word loyalty without thinking of how it tore 2 women apart. One night, months after the sentencing, Sierra asked Tyrone quietly, "Did you ever lie to her about me?" He didn't answer right away. Then he said, "I lied to both of y'all. Just in different ways." That truth cut deep, but it was honest. Both women had been casualties of the same man's silence. Back in Gatesville, Vanessa eventually moved to a lower security pod. She started teaching GED prep classes, helped younger inmates with hair braiding and resume writing. The guards said she was respectful, smart, even kind. But she never smiled in photos. During her 5th year inside, she was interviewed as part of a state-run documentary about female inmates and emotional trauma. When the interviewer asked if she had forgiven Tyrone, Vanessa shook her head. "Forgiveness ain't for people like me. It's for the ones who still have time to live their story." Then she looked down and whispered, "Mine ended the day I pulled that trigger." Sierra watched the documentary months later. She sat on her couch alone, wrapped in a gray hoodie. And when Vanessa's face filled the screen, older, worn, but still familiar, she started to cry. Not out of fear, not out of hate, but out of grief. Grief for what could have been. Grief for the love that once bloomed in a salon full of mirrors. Grief for the truth no one ever wants to admit. Sometimes, the people who hurt you most are the ones who once loved you best. The confession came years later. Rainy Thursday, March. Vanessa sat alone in a plain interview room at Lane Murray Unit. No makeup, no earrings. Her once shiny curls now worn short and streaked with gray. Across from her sat a young journalist from Austin named Elish Tran, working on a podcast about women in prison. She'd written Vanessa 3 letters. All were ignored. Then out of nowhere, Vanessa said yes. Maybe it was time. The tape recorder clicked on. State your name. Vanessa Coleman. And this is your story? She nodded, then exhaled. Slow, heavy, like she was releasing 6 years of silence. I never planned to be the villain, she began. When I loved him like I was building a house. Brick by brick, hair by hair. Every text, every night we danced in that damn salon. I thought we were laying a foundation. But one day I woke up and realized he had the key, and I was the only one still living there. She paused. People say I snapped, that I lost it. But the truth is, I didn't snap. Slowly, quietly. And by the time I realized how deep I'd gone, I'd already loaded the gun. The journalist asked if she still thought about Tyrone. Vanessa smiled for the first time. But it wasn't joy. It was grief, dressed as memory. Every day. Not as the man I shot, but the boy I met. The one who made me laugh in front of clients. The one who fixed my cracked mirror and told me it was just like new. He lied. It was never just like new. And neither was I. She turned to the recorder. I want people to know this wasn't about a man. It was about not knowing how to lose. About tying your worth to someone else's attention until their silence becomes your sentence. Then she added quietly, I buried myself before I ever pulled that trigger. She pulled out a folded piece of paper from her pocket, one of the many letters she'd written in prison, but never mailed. She asked to read it aloud. Dear Sierra, I never hated you. I envied your ease. Your youth. The way he looked at you like I was never there. You were not my enemy. You were my mirror. And I couldn't stand what I saw. I'm sorry you had to bleed from my pain. I'm sorry you did too. I pray you heal faster than I did. And love slower than I did. Because fast love crashes loud. Vanessa folded the letter back into her lap. Silence filled the room. The journalist asked, Do you feel free now? Vanessa blinked slowly. No. But I feel seen. She leaned back, looked up at the fluorescent lights, and said, Maybe that's all any of us want. To be seen before we disappear. That final recording became the closing episode of the podcast Confessions from Cell Block C. It went viral. Thousands of people shared it online. Some called her a murderer. Others called her a martyr. Women stitched the audio on TikTok, overlaying it with their own stories of heartbreak and abandonment. A 15-second clip of Vanessa whispering, I buried myself before I ever pulled that trigger, racked up millions of views. College sociology classes began adding her case to their curriculum. Domestic violence shelters saw a 30% spike in walk-ins the week the episode aired. But for Vanessa, nothing changed. She was still inmate TX 2986F. Still serving 38 years. Still braiding hair in the day room for other inmates, quietly, patiently, like it was her only way to feel human again. And under her bunk, in a small state-issued box, she still kept the letters she never sent. On top of them all lay a crude drawing. A pair of scissors, broken in half. Above it, 3 words written in neat block letters. I cut ties.